That's a wrap. Industry News Show number 8 for Sunday, May 7th, 2006.
Today on That's a Wrap, Kelly Slagle
Knew ahead of time, before we pulled the genre, that we would be using this boat that was being docked in D.C. And we were determined, no matter what the genre was, from Western musical to drama to comedy to what we ended up getting, which was horror, that we would film it on the boat.
Steve Huey.
Yeah, it started in the church and also at the dinner table. Because my older brother, I used to get him in trouble all the time.
Jennifer Robers.
Focus on just one stranger, picking out little clips of their life and how everything that they do affects other people.
Welcome to another edition of That's a Wrap, the industry program dedicated to focusing on all aspects of the arts and entertainment industry, from the human perspective to the technical arena. We take a look at all things related to how the industry operates behind the scenes, keeping you in touch with the latest news, trends, and products. Visit us on the web at TAWIN.org. And now here is your host, Carlos Cruz.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another edition of That's a Wrap Industry News, your link to the latest arts and entertainment industry news and info, technology, insightful guests, and industry professionals. This show is about providing you with the tools and information you need to help you become more successful. I am your host, Carlos Cruz, Renaissance Soul Extraordinaire, and I hope everyone out there is doing well. Don't forget to contact us via email at tawin.org or leave us a message on our comment line at 301-476-0709. We look forward to hearing from everyone. We have a great show for you today. We have Kelly Slagle of Cave Girl Productions and Jennifer Robers of Dobbler's Pen Productions. Both are participants for the 48-hour Washington, D.C. Film Festival. We also have Steve Huey being interviewed for our Actors Spotlight segment. Okay, let's kick off the show. I just wanted to kick off the show with something to make you think. Remember the movie I, Robot with Will Smith? As the synopsis goes, in the year 2035, robots are an everyday household item. With that said, there's no need to continue. You've probably seen the movie or at least seen the trailer to have an understanding of what I'm talking about. I just want to remind you once again, this show is dedicated to discussing topics relating directly to or will eventually have a direct effect on the arts and entertainment industry. And I am seeing something that would eventually creep its way into Hollywood and the mainstream media. But to continue, an article published on May 5th, 2006 out of the Korean Times titled, Korean Scientists Develop Female Android. And after reading this article, I'm seeing the day when the Screen Actors Guild, or SAG, will have to defend the rights of humans being replaced by actroids. You heard me correctly, actroids. You may be rolling your eyes right now in disbelief, but going back to the article, staff reporter Kim Tae-gyu writes, standing 1.6 meters tall and weighing about 50 kilograms, that's about 5 feet 2 inches tall and weighing about 110 pounds if my calculations are correct. Kim continues, she can understand others, speak, blink with her eyes, and make several facial expressions, but she is not human. Rather an android developed by a team of South Korean scientists. It is only the second time in the world that an android has been developed. Japan was the first one to develop a life-size android. If you look at the article, you can see a photo of what they're calling Ever One. If you give it a quick glance, you can mistake it for a real person. Her name comes from the combination of Eve and robot. Kim also notes that this human-sized robot can understand 400 words and make eye contact while talking via her lips that are synchronized with the pronunciation of words. In my professional opinion, this is amazing. Do you have any understanding on how something like this will eventually change the face of Hollywood? Why need big actors when you can build one yourself? Ever One was created using the averages of 20-year-old Korean women. We're not going to even talk about what it will do to the modeling industry. Now, I'm not putting this out there as a scare tactic. I don't want marches in the streets. Speaking of marches, illegal immigrants are screwed once these things hit the agricultural industry. But as I was saying, I don't want marches in the streets of people demanding Hollywood promises not to use these actroids in their movies. But you know what? They're already there. We just call them animatronics. Slowly but surely, we will see these animatronics become more complex as well as intelligent. If these things were to replace people, they will probably start with jobs that would contain the most dangerous positions and eventually creep their way into becoming an A-list role. How will SAG accept this? Have you ever heard of the show Lassie? Yes, Lassie was a dog. But you know what? Lassie wasn't human and she had her own show. Haven't you also noticed how many big actors have been moving to the animated realm providing their voices? It makes sense, and they will probably accept actroids, providing they'll still pay tens of millions to basically do nothing. I would not be surprised if they started making realistic-looking androids of Hollywood's highest-paid actors. If you look in the news today, you will see many breakthroughs in the medical industry, which I can see will be eventually tested and used to fuse androids and organics together. I am not sure if they are doing this right now, but Kim also writes, for now, E41 can be employed as a guide robot at museums and department stores. I guess all tour guides just got fired. Or as educational models to read books to children. Isn't that nice? One more thing for the teachers' unions to be worried about. And what about the librarians? Remember, we live in a time where technology is exceeding our expectations. If you think it, no matter how crazy it may sound, someone will eventually develop it. And once it's developed, how is it going to affect you? If you want more information on this, go ahead and do a Google search for EVER1. Go ahead and send us your comments via our comment line at 301-476-0709. We would love to hear what you have to say about this topic. Provide us with your name, location, and comment, and we'll put you on the next show. By the way, how do you think SAG will react to something like this when it starts to become more mainstream? How will you react? We're going to take a short break before we continue. When we come back, we'll talk about the Washington, D.C. 48-hour film project. We still have our interviews with Kelly Slagle of Cave Girl Productions, Jennifer Robers of Dobbler's Pen Productions, and our Actor Spotlight segment with Steve Huey. If you're looking for a podcast to help you develop yourself, to help you promote yourself to others, I would highly recommend Diary of a Shameless Self-Promoter podcast. It's basically the Zen marketing for all self-promoters from the timid to the fearless, hosted by Heidi Miller, who is a worldwide speaker and corporate presenter. Heidi is a veteran trade show presenter and product demonstrator with over 5 years experience presenting at over 100 shows. More importantly, she has a diverse background in teaching, training, sales, and marketing that will bring a special energy to you and how you promote yourself. I highly recommend this podcast. Check it out.
Hi, this is Heidi Miller, host of Diary of a Shameless Self-Promoter podcast, which is Zen marketing for all self-promoters from the timid to the fearless. At Diary, we're dedicated to the arts of networking, sales, public speaking, and overall shameless self-promotion, so hey, you can enjoy your life and your business. Diary of a Shameless Self-Promoter, available through iTunes.
If you would like more info on today's topic or have a question, comment, or story, contact us to share your experience, be it funny, sad, or inspiring. Send us your feedback at email at tawin.org or leave a message on our comment line at 301-476-0709. That's 301-476-0709. We'd love to hear from you.
Okay, and next we have with us today a very talented, multi-dimensional director-producer of Cave Girl Productions, Kelly Slagle. Welcome, Kelly, and thank you for joining us.
Hi.
Kelly, before we go into some of your current projects, please tell us, how did it all start for you?
I started the 48-hour film project about 6 years ago in D.C. as an actor. And after going through two of them on teams with people that I didn't know, I observed what mistakes were being made in getting a team together and decided to take it upon myself to do it on my own and gather my own resources together.
And that's how you came up with Cave Girl Productions?
Oh, if you were asking about Cave Girl, no, Cave Girl began before that. Cave Girl Productions originally was formed for producing plays, only one of which ever actually got made. I did a adaptation of No Exit by John Paul Sartre a few years ago named Ellipsis. and we put that on in various locales in D.C. and Maryland, and then we reran it again for Automatic 2002. And then at that point, we decided to break into film.
Okay, this week we have the Washington, D.C. 48-hour Film Festival. And for our audience, this is an annual multi-city competition where filmmakers are given 2 days to write, shoot, soundtrack, and edit a 4 to 7 minute film. And this year, Kelly, you're listed as Group H. Tell us about some of the people that are on your team this year.
Many of the people on my team this year have been with me for the last 3 films that we've done. The first 2 we did for the DC 48-hour film project. The third one we did for the National Film Challenge, which is a sister project for the 48-hour, done produced by the same people. But it is a national contest with the same similar parameters as 48. Many of the people I've worked with in community theater originally is how I met them. Some of them I met at clubs, just various friend groups, and they all have their own individual expertise areas. For example, Doug Wilson, a friend of mine who I met many, many years ago with mutual friends, started out doing theater lighting and for concerts for the 930 Club, and I brought him in to do film lighting even though he had never done it before because of his general lighting expertise. At the time we started the first film, my boyfriend at the time, Tim, had dabbled in video and editing production, and the first film we did for 48 Hour was the first film he ever made as a DP. So we just gathered a lot of eclectic people together.
Yeah. In October 2004, talking about some of your productions, you produced Felt, Tearing the Fabric of America, and that was for, as you said, the National Film Challenge, which was the sister for 48-hour film project, correct?
Right.
Okay, and that made the top 10 and was awarded Best Mockumentary.
Right.
I've seen it itself, and it was hilarious. I loved it. How did that come about?
Oh, that has a really interesting story. As you know, with the 48-hour film project, you can't do much creative work ahead of time. You have to wait until the beginning of the competition, which is usually Friday night and runs through Sunday. In the case of National Film Challenge, you actually had until the following Monday to complete it. And all you can do ahead of time is gather your locations, your equipment, your people together, and you wait to pull the genre and the required elements out of the hat on Friday night. Well, Thursday night, before the project, I was tossing some ideas around with my fellow screenwriter of Felt, Scott Peck, and we thought it would be neat to have one character be a puppet. We thought we could have the puppet in the movie, no matter what the movie ended up being about, and we would treat him just like he was any other human character. So we thought this was really funny, and Scott happened to own a couple of puppets, including the frog that appears at the end of Felt. And we had decided that. Well, I decided to send out an email to the list of people in my group and said, does anybody have any other puppets? You know, a bigger puppet that you can put your arm in and move around. And that started the puppet search. And by 6 o'clock on Friday evening, through Barry Gordimer, who is the producer here at National Public Radio, where I work during the day, he is actually a professional puppeteer. And he lent me 4 of his puppets to use in the film. And when we pulled the mockumentary genre, it almost wrote itself. So the only idea we had ahead of time was that we would have at least one puppet appear in a film. And it snowballed from there.
Do you still have a viewing of Felt online?
Yes, I do. And it has its own website. We make fun of the unfortunate head of the Westboro Baptist Church, Pastor Fred Phelps, a lot in the film. And we stole from his awful website. We parodied it with www.godhatesrags.com, rags being a not so nice term for a puppet. Oh. And you can view the film online there.
Well, yeah, I recommend for anybody going down to actually go down and view it. They would enjoy it so much. Also, in last year, 2005, your third film, Hatch, was selected for the Best 48-hour program, Top 15 Films, and won Best Locations.
Right.
Can you tell us how the process went for that? Because that's totally different from Felt.
Just slightly. Yeah, that again has an interesting story. The executive producers behind all 3 of our films is a man named Doug Humphrey, who has been lucky enough to own some interesting things. And one of the things that he owns is a 120-foot former British Navy vessel. that is permanently docked in Baltimore, but was actually in D.C. the weekend we used it for Hatch. So we knew ahead of time, before we pulled the genre, that we would be using this boat that was being docked in D.C. And we were determined, no matter what the genre was, from Western musical to drama to comedy to what we ended up getting, which was horror, that we would film it on the boat. We also had decided ahead of time that no matter what the storyline was, it would be a group of military personnel on that boat. We didn't know what they'd be doing or what branch of the military they'd be from, but we knew they'd be there.
It just worked out well for having...
Yeah, and it worked out well that we decided to have a thriller almost on the boat itself. So it was really interesting working on it.
Okay, before we wrap this up, May 5th, 7th, Cave Girl Productions will be making their 4th film, which will be unbeknownst to us until tomorrow evening. The movie to be will be shown in the final screening slot at the AFI Silver Theater and Cultural Center, located at 8633 Colesville Road, Silver Spring, Maryland, for all of you who can attend. It's on May 12th at 9:15. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And you can get there by metro, bus, or you can take a car, because down in Silver
Springs,
off
the red line.
they have a lot of public parking there, and it's really easy to get off of 95 also. But Kelly, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with us and talking about your knowledge and experience with our audience. If you want more information about Cave Girl Productions, visit www.cavegirl.com. Today's Actor Spotlight, we have with us Stephen Huey. Stephen, thank you for coming with us today.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Can you tell us originally where you come from and where you live now and what you're doing?
Sure.
Theater-wise?
Sure. I'm originally from Texas. I spent a lot of time in Dallas, and then I moved down to Houston. And then concerning my acting career, that's where professionally I got my start, was in Houston. But now I live here in Baltimore, and I'm just getting really back into the business here. But it's really picking up. I've started getting a lot of calls, so I'm pretty excited about it.
How long have you been acting around the area?
Well, I've been an actor probably for 40 years, and I say that because I started out acting when I was, probably about 7 or 8, particularly in the church. Back then, I had a soprano voice, and I could sing, and I was involved in a lot of musicals, and so it just continued on from there. Of course, I've lost that singing voice. Age, coffee, and cigarettes.
There you go.
Have a habit of taking it away, but it's still act.
Is this where you started your acting, within the church area?
Yeah, it started in the church. Well, in 2 places really. It started in the church and also at the dinner table, because my older brother, I used to get him in trouble all the time. But what I would do is I would pantomime our parents, and of course he'd start laughing, and when your mouth's full of food, you can figure out what happens from there, and he'd usually wind up getting in trouble. So yeah, it started at a young age.
Well, speaking of getting your brother into trouble, I'm looking here at some of the work you've done. You've done Arsenic and No Lace. You've done Send Me No Flowers, No Time for Sergeants. But there's one here that you say No Exits, and here you play Satan.
Yeah, that was an interesting play. That was a few years ago. It was I can't remember the name of the playwright, but it was very interesting, this particular play, because the director let me carry the character into some really unique, what I thought then is unique aspects about Satan, other than what we usually think of Satan, and then my interpretation of it, which, from my standpoint, I thought it was pretty interesting.
Also, who are you currently represented by in the local area, or are you completely independent when you're looking for your own work?
Well, it's up here in Maryland. It's Maryland, the D.C. area, it's a bit different than it was in Houston. In Houston, I was represented by Pastorini Bosby, and I really worked for them. I didn't work for anyone else. Up here, I'm represented by a number of people, Central Casting out of D.C., Flair Modeling here in Baltimore. Also, there's the ACT Modeling Agency, and Taylor Royal. What you do here is you send them your headshot and your resume, and then they call you, periodically to get you work.
For new people just coming into the industry, what would you recommend for them if you're talking to them when looking for an agent? What are some of the things that you would want them, that the information you wish you had back in the day?
Well, I was very fortunate from the standpoint of I started my professional career later in life. I mean, I've only been doing this professionally since '99. Before then, it's all been amateur. So because I was older when I got into it professionally, and I had the benefit of knowing a number of individuals who were in the industry, it was pretty easy to follow their lead. But the advice that I would give anyone getting started in this business is to do your homework. If you're going to be represented by an agency, check them out. Don't just, don't be dazzled by the fact that they say, oh, we want you to come to work for us, and then later on you find out that they are not what they're representing themselves to be.
In addition to your acting, you also write screenplays and you do song lyrics. Do you have any projects on your plate now?
Well, as a matter of fact, I do. I'm writing. It's a new work. It's a new genre for me. It's a fantasy adventure. It's called Soul Catcher, and it just so happens that I have the teaser for it right here. If you'd like to hear it, I'll go ahead and read it.
No, go ahead, please. Go ahead, please read it.
Okay. When Satan's chief warrior Proteus was captured by near angel Jack Dancer, war in the universe took a decided lull. But the holiday ended when Jack let him escape. For his failure, Jack suffered endless futility and exile on Earth, while Proteus wrought his havoc all across the universe. But Proteus had to be stopped, so Jack was recalled, because everyone knew that Jack was the only one who could do it. Everyone but Jack. Soul Catcher is a full-length fantasy adventure about the classic battle between good and evil that's fought in the universe, and the classic battle between good and evil fought in the soul.
So when are you going to start casting for that?
Well, first thing I have to do is finish writing it. And then the second thing that I have to do is get somebody to buy it.
Well, you got the premise for it right now, and then you can just basically cast people and just start working it as they do like when they're filming 24, basically. They write it on the fly.
Oh, yeah. I mean, certainly. If I had certainly those resources, that would be great.
Do you have any other future projects in the works right now?
No, that one is the only one I'm really concentrating on right now. It's turned out to be quite a complex work because it's dealing with a lot of religious ideas, and I've mixed in Greek mythology with it. So it's as I said, it's turned very complex, but I've been enjoying it.
Well, Stephen, we'd like to thank you for being on our show today. And what would be the best way if somebody out there wanted to get in touch with you? Would you prefer a casting agency? You have an email that you would like to use?
Sure. As I said, right now I'm represented by Central Casting out of Washington D.C., Flair Modeling here in Baltimore, and the ACT Modeling Agency. Or somebody could contact me simply by sending me an email, which my address is s.huey@comcast.net.
And we have with us the lovely and multi-talented Jennifer Roberts of Dobbler's Pen Productions. Welcome, Jennifer, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Jennifer, before we go into some of your current projects, let's talk about Dabbler's Pen Productions. Currently, you are an actor and producer. How did you end up developing your skills within these areas?
As an actor, I'd already been taking classes, and that's actually where we all met, was in an acting class by Hilary Sachs and Sri Asher here in Baltimore. We were a bunch of actors that just kind of got together and decided to do the first 48-hour film festival in 2003, and we won Best Cinematography, and we just kind of went from there. As far as the producing skills, that I kind of fell into because we needed someone who had some organizational skills and who could go out there and network and find what we needed, and that turned out to be me.
Well, real life sometimes is the best teacher at times. Can you tell us a little bit about Dabbler's Pen Productions?
Sure. Dabbler's Pen actually stands for a line from Say Anything, where Lloyd Dabbler says, "I gave her my heart and she gave me a pen." That's kind of a signature movie of our generation.
Yes, it is.
And so, yeah, we just kind of picked that. And we've done 7 films now, or about to do our 7th film. And almost all of our films have been selected for film festivals, and several of them have won awards as well. So we have a lot of fun.
Yeah, I can tell because basically you have MOS and 641, which won the Best Cinematography for the 48-hour film project last year. And just looking at those two alone, you should at least come up with something. I don't mean to put the pressure on you this year with some achievements. Can you tell us about your last production piece, Full Circle?
Sure. Full Circle is a 20-minute film. It's an indie short, and it's basically the story of what happens when you focus on just one stranger, picking out little clips of their life and how everything that they do affects other people. It's a story about love, of course, and about strangers, even though most of us aren't strangers, whether we know it or not. It was selected for the Annapolis Film Festival and the Frederick Film Festival, and now it's just recently been selected for the Maryland Festival of Film, which is this next Saturday, May 13th.
Okay, before we wrap this up, May 5th and 7th, Dabbler's Pen Production will be making their 7th film. Their movie to be will be shown in the final screening slot at the AFI Silver Theater and Cultural Center located at 8633 Colesville Road, Silver Springs, on Friday, May 11th. That's correct, right? 9:15?
Actually, it's Thursday.
Oh, Thursday, May 11th. Oh.
Thursday, May 11th. Yep. Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure which calendar I'm looking at tonight. You can get there by Metro bus, or you can take your car because there's plenty of public parking out there. Also, for a nice little double feature, Full Circle will be playing at the Maryland Film Festival Saturday, May 13th at noon at the Charles Theater located in Midtown Baltimore at 1711 North Charles Street, just a block and a half from north of Penn Station. Go there and check it out. Jennifer, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with us and talking about your experience with our audience. If you want more information about Dabbler's Pen Productions, visit www.dabblers-pen.com. That's DOBLERS-PEN.com. Okay, that's a wrap, folks. This is going to do it for this edition of That's Rap Industry Network. Until our next download, have a good night, and we wish you all the best in your endeavors.
If you would like more info on today's topic or have a question, comment, or story, contact us to share your experience, be it funny, sad, or inspiring. Send us your feedback at email at tawin.org or leave a message on our comment line at 301-476-0709. That's 301-476-0709. We'd love to hear